To avoid overlap, I will move the bottom of the can over. And this might have to be scaled down as well. It looks like it might be too large. So we will first select it with the right click, Control L to select the link. We use G for move. And I think because we're talking about the same diameter, it might be a good idea to scale it to the top. So I'll do that before I move it out of the way. Because I'm going to use actual photographs for the textures. So scale, it's with an S, the S key. It's almost right. G, move it over. That's close but no cigar. So I will move in very close. Make sure these are perfectly lined up. G. And S. It's going too fast. I have to zoom in closer. Or maybe not. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. So zoom out. G. Move it over here. And for this, right click, Control L, Shift right click, Control L, and we'll move this in G like this. Okay, so our ends, we deselect this and we have our UV map for the ends. Go back to the 3D view, and the only thing left to do is the UV map for the rim. So I will select the rim by material, and then I will go Mesh, UV Unwrap, Unwrap. We'll go to the UV Image Editor, and it's surprisingly cut up. But actually, I shouldn't be surprised, actually, because all of these are split along the same line as the sides. So if I take this, right-click there, Control Link, G to move it up, so that it's inside the UV map and not sticking out or overlapping with anything. If I click this with the right mouse button, Control L, G again to move it, this should be perfectly acceptable, actually. Because as I said, I'm not thinking of using the photograph for this. I think I'll use a colored image file and leave it at that. So we deselect, and we go back to the 3D view. We basically have the UV map complete. But there's one more step that I need to do. Obviously, I should save. I should have done this earlier, actually. I should have made a 105. So I am not perfectly following my own advice here. I was working on something that was an original, violated my own advice from earlier. We save this. Save as. This is not actually done because to line up my texture files with my UV map, I need to make some UV layout files. So if I go back to the UV image editor, first of all, I have to select the parts that I want the layout files for. So we'll start with the ends because it's material 1. We go back to the UV image editor, UVs, export UV layout. I think I'm in the correct folder. Yes. I will change the name when I convert it to the format I like. If you've watched my other videos, you know what I'm talking about, but you'll see in a minute. So export the UV layout. well, 1024 pixels by 1024 pixels. Obviously, you can adjust these figures. I think opacity should be 1.0. We'll see if this is correct. I'll test this before I do anything else. And another safeguard you can take is use a higher resolution than you need. So, 2056 by 2056. I will never need this, but you want your UV layout to be very accurate. Now we export it. Okay, so I'll save it just in case that's necessary. And we will jump over to GIMP to show you what I mean about changing the format. Here we are in GIMP. I will open my UV layout file. Arizona Can 105 PNG. Now you see what I'm not thrilled about. I generally like having a white background for these. Because you want to be able to see your edges. If we zoom in, you want us to be able to see where the edge is exactly. So I will export this, and this will be my UV layout. And I'll repeat, well, first of all, this is important, ENS UV layout. And actually, I should go a step further. If we go back to the original file, I should add the detail ENS, of course. Just so that we know what we're dealing with and we don't lose the original. Have a handy backup. Go back into the 3D view here. Deselect. We will now make a UV layout file for the sides. And of course, this might not work. I might have to make this into 8 sections, but that will be a later tutorial. I've never actually done specifically a drinks can before. So I'm doing a tutorial on Blender, but this particular project I've never done before. So I will show you what I learned if in fact this doesn't work. In the meantime, we go to the UV layout, and we export it. UVs, export UV layout. I might as well say side this time. For some reason, this has not kept my settings. 10, 2056, 2056. All right. Export UV layout. Quit Blender.